Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? Well, food, besides giving us nourishment for the body, the mind, and the soul, also makes us feel good. And today I have as a special guest, Sandra Kearse. She's the author of a book called There's Always Room for More. And talk about a feel-good story. Wow. It is a story about her and her husband's life fostering over 100 children and the wonderful stories, and she gives us tips. If you've ever thought about fostering a child, they are the absolute experts. They've won many awards also, and they're the absolute experts on fostering children, and they also have some wonderful tips on raising kids. So they're just a wonderful Sandra Stockton and Aaron Stockton, just a wonderful couple. And Sandra Kearse, the author of There's Always Room for One More. And I'm going to give a recipe. It's a recipe for a healthy popsicle that you can make with your kids, and adults will love this popsicle also. It's actually made with sweet potatoes and pineapple, and it's a sweet potato pina colada popsicle from my blog, marialiberati.com. So stay with me for that and more. Summertime is always a great time to do a staycation at home if you're not traveling this summer, or even if you do travel and you have some downtime at home with the kids. This is a great recipe to make for a tropical staycation. It's a recipe that you can share with the kids. The kids can eat the snack as well as help make the snack. And whether you spend your summer afternoon sitting by the pool, splashing in the shallow end, or just soaking up the sun's rays, part of the fun is beating the heat with a cool, refreshing snack. And heading to the freezer for a fruity ice pop can transport you from your own backyard to a tropical island. And the experience can be even more rewarding when the tasty treat is homemade. Cool down after fun in the sun with these kid-friendly pina colada sweet potato ice pops, a tropical inspired dessert made with coconut cream, sweet potatoes, fresh pineapple, lime juice, and honey. And here is the recipe for my pina colada sweet potato ice pops. This is on my blog, marialiberati.com, so you'll be able to find it there. The prep time is about 5 minutes, and the freezer time, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to freeze. So you can possibly make these late morning or in the morning if you want to enjoy these in the afternoon. And these make about 8 small ice pops. 1/2 cup of coconut cream, 3/4 cup of mashed and cooked sweet potato, 3/4 cup of diced pineapple, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of lime juice. And you can also use coconut flakes for the top of the pops. You can either use unsweetened or sweetened coconut flakes. It's your choice. In a food processor or high-speed blender, mix the coconut cream, sweet potato, pineapple, honey, and lime juice. Transfer the batter to freezer molds. Place in the freezer for 3 to 4 hours. If you'd like, you can top with those coconut flakes if desired. Let freeze again for 3 to 4 hours, then just take out of the freezer. If you have the molds that will allow you to stick popsicle sticks in, that's even better. So you're able to enjoy the popsicles on a stick. The ease of this summer snack means kids can help in the kitchen, and while you wait for this sweet concoction to freeze, you can also share this fun fact with them. The one-word spelling of sweet potato was adopted by the National Sweet Potato Collaborators in 1989 in an effort to avoid confusion with the potato and yam among shippers, distributors, warehouse workers, and consumers. To add to the fun facts, a sweet potato is not even botanically related to a white potato. They are 2 entirely different species from one another. So I have today Sandra Kearse Stockton and Aaron Stockton, who have been foster parents for quite some time. And Sandra wrote a book called There's Always Room for One More, which I love that topic. And I think being foster parents is such an important topic today. So we're going to get into that today and find out more about this wonderful book and just some things on what it's like being a foster parent. So Sandra and Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
You're welcome. I guess I'm going to start out by asking, so how long have you been foster parents?
It was over 26 years.
Oh my goodness.
We started in 1994. And I'm going to let Sandy talk to you how we got started.
Yes. Yes. So tell me, that is an interesting topic, because I bet you there are people out there that are thinking maybe I should do it. And, they just aren't getting started. So tell us how you got started, Sandra.
Well, we got started because our children had all grown up and left the house. We were both in the military. And I was sitting at home one day in this big house, and it felt so empty. So I guess empty nest syndrome kicked in.
Yes.
And I saw an ad. I was in the kitchen drinking some tea or something. And I was reading the paper, watching the Post. And I saw this ad in there about this agency was trying to place a girl in foster home. And it was urgent. She was a Caucasian girl who was pregnant by an Afro-American boy. They were having a hard time placing her. And they ran this ad. We went, I think maybe two, we all called and went to the agency to see about that particular child, right? So we got there, that child didn't exist. So we were thinking it was a bait and they need parents. Let's get some people in here. It's okay. So they told us what she was. We didn't believe none of that. But we all decided when they gave us their spiel that maybe we'll do some classes and see if we want to be foster parents. Right. So we took classes for a while. And one of the young ladies was in the group with me. Her name was Pat Duncan. She's been foster parents as long as we have, and she's still doing it.
Wow.
And we met at the same time. We both talked and said, we think they tricked us. So we all got our kids. So we got a daughter. The one we got was Caucasian. We were reading files, but they didn't want to place her with us because we were Afro-American. I said, Lord have mercy. We've been in the military. We've met so many people.
Exactly.
In so many places. This is a child who needs a home. Give us a chance. And so we were the first one. We let them know that it doesn't matter.
Right.
So we got, her name was Michelle. And Michelle writes a little piece in my book. There's always room for one more. She tells her story being with us. And she's like 43 now, I think, or something close to that. And she was in Germany. She always said to Dad, when I grow up, I'm going to marry somebody just like you. We said, okay, I'm going to be like you, Mom. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be tough. Okay. So one day she found me on social media and she says, are you the Sandra who's married to Aaron, who used to live in Upper Marlboro, Maryland? I said, yes. Who are you? And she said, I'm Mel. And she had a different last name. I said, what's your maiden name? She said, Michelle West, Mama. I said, Lord have mercy, all those years. And I said, are you sure? And she said, what do you said? I married a soldier just like that.
So wow. That's one.
There's a set of twins. And when she came back to stateside, she texted Maryland for a minute. She came to see us where we live now.
Oh, that's
and wonderful. We got pictures and everything. And we just had a ball. She was just a sweetheart. So she's in my book. She toots our horn. She said, I was just a mess when I came down. I know, Mom, I was a mess, but you helped me out. You got me straight.
That's great. Oh, that's such a nice story. And I love it. I think it's wonderful. You said she's Caucasian and they don't want to give her to you because you're African-American, but it's wonderful because they learn another culture.
Different cultures.
The culture, and they just blend. And hey, we're all we really are one big family. Yes. So I think that was wonderful that you convinced them to do that. That's really nice. And how successful that turned out. That's great. So I'm afraid to ask, because I'm sure it's going to be this gigantic number, but so how many have you fostered?
We fostered over 100.
I figured that. Oh my goodness.
But not only that we were foster parents, we were therapeutic foster parents. So, we dealt with kids on drugs, alcohol, mental health, just a whole variety of problems.
Oh, well, God bless you. That's wonderful. That I know that's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So that's really something special, of you to be able to do that and help those kids. That's wonderful.
You have to be on guard.
Yes. How long do you usually have like a child when you foster them? Is it a specific period of time?
It can be from 1 hour to 2 years, because sometimes we did do emergency placements, and you can get that phone call and they say, hey, Sandra, we got this kid, we need to place her right now. I mean, and they'll say it's temporary, like maybe not more than 10 days, not more than 2 weeks. You might end up having that child for 2 years.
Wow.
Because that maybe turns into that kid's not going home.
Right.
And all sorts of other things.
Do they get adopted? Is that when the time is over with you?
Some do, but the objective is to get them back home.
Oh, I see.
So we're working with the family, the therapists, the school counselors. There's a lot of work.
Yes.
Don't think you're getting into foster care and making money.
Yeah.
Okay. Because again, when they come into your house, they should be part of your family.
Yes.
And when
that's very
vacation,
important. Very important. And you want to make sure that they're part of your family, because that's probably what they're missing, right?
Yeah.
With their own family. So they need to feel like family,
they're
and they need they need to feel like they're part of your family. So have you ever fostered more than one child at one time? And how does that work out?
One time, three at the most, 3. When we first started with our agency, you could have 3 children in your house. And they try to make it be siblings if possible. Sometimes.
Yes, so they don't.
And sometimes not. And we had some children one time. We actually wanted these children, these 2 girls, and they said they didn't know if they could mix the children. They were from 2 different agencies. And we worked for our agency, nonprofit agency. Yes. All the kids come through Department of Social Services, Welfare Department, Juvenile Justice. So those different case managers and all those different organizations have to agree if they want their child to mix with another child based on their history. And usually they agree, because they'll come. I mean, the social workers, the probation officers, they come to meet us. We've met so many, and then it's okay with them. So really, and then when another agency came in and took over our agency, they kind of merged. Because we used to be with the agency called Alternatives for Youth and Families. That's why the objective was to get those kids back home or to a family member. And the agency came over and took them over, Board of Child Care. I think they're ran by the Mormons. They're really big.
Oh, okay.
And it came to that there's only 2 children can be in your home at one time, unless they're siblings.
I see.
They're siblings then, So,
and how? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say, is there like specific age ranges, or could it be any age, even a baby?
There can be any age. They can, what is it, 6 months up?
Wow.
But we started at like, ours was 12, the first one. The first young one we got was 12. We started with women. We started with the girls. We started with the girls. We had a lot of girls.
Yes.
One interview I did, they asked me, can you name all those children? I said, I probably can't name them all. I can name a lot, but that lot I can name, I might not remember that last name, but I'm going to remember something.
Right, 100. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So we started with girls, and then one day I saw this here paper, no, not a paper, agency told us about this girl who accused her foster father of inappropriate behavior.
Right.
No one knows if it's true or not. They do the investigation. It turns out not true. Here's the problem though. Gosh. Once they accuse, then the child is moved from your home. And so all this big investigation goes over, and everything is fine if it's true or not true. And I decided as a mom, we're not doing girls, because I was still a nurse and I'm working a lot and you're at home a lot. I said, we're going to switch to boys.
Yes.
And we did girls for about like maybe 4 years or so. And then we switched to boys. We did all boys from then on.
I see.
Because he was there more. And then they needed that father influence and that man to follow positively. I can kick in to be the mom at any point. But them boys need to know and grow how to get up there and be a man and be responsible.
Exactly. That's important. And that was a great idea too. Exactly. Because if he's spending time, you're absolutely right. They need to know how to be responsible. And Aaron can certainly teach them which is
Yeah.
definitely a good idea. Unfortunately, with the females, I think there's too much stuff going on in the internet and
Not to
everything.
worry.
They see stuff and then they just start, but that's a great idea because the boys do need to know how
Yeah,
to
not that we didn't
have a
love girls,
boundary.
we love them.
You know,
Yes.
our
yes.
secret was to take young people from their environment. We wouldn't take people from
Our
DC,
neighborhood.
Washington, DC, which we're next to, and Prince George's County.
But why do we do that?
We did that because we didn't want their friends to come over. They can get on the bus and hang out with their friends and get back into the same thing they're doing. So
Yes.
it was funny. One time we had some kids from Maryland, further down, and their friends came up here without asking. And
Oh, wow.
he told me, he said, my friends is out and I'm going to go ride with them. I said, no, you can't go ride with them. I said, first of all, you didn't ask me. And
Yes.
second of all, I don't know them.
Right.
We have to get a driver's license. You have to get a driver's
for
license
you.
of people who pick up your kids. They're your kids.
Yes, exactly. I love it. I love what you're saying. All important
One thing
things.
we
Go
did,
ahead.
Maria, one
Uh-huh.
thing we did when we had the girls, if somebody came to pick them up and wanted to date,
Uh-huh.
I'd be talking to them and he would go out and take a picture of their car, picture of their tags. Then they start getting nervous. And can we see your license? Because you're taking our daughter out. We need to know who you are and where she's at.
Exactly.
And most of the ones were legitimate. They were okay. Yes, ma'am. No problem, man. Take her license. And we never
Yes.
had a problem. They brought the girls back and did what they're supposed to do.
Yes,
But
exactly.
people don't do that. Now, even nowadays, if it's not
Yeah.
a foster child, your own kids,
Well,
kids are being trafficked.
exactly.
You know who your kids are with.
Exactly. They just regular parents, real parents of kids aren't doing those things. And I love it what you're saying. You need to do those things. And if the boy that's taking the girl out sees you doing those things, they know that you're concerned. And certainly if there's something that's not correct, they're probably gonna hightail it,
Decide
So
not to go out.
they know that there's somebody there that's going to be watching out for that girl. So that's
Exactly.
really, really important. I love that. Good for
Maria,
you.
I want to go back to when you were saying about girls.
Uh-huh.
I really thought when we were fostering girls, I thought they benefited more. Because
Wow.
most of the girls we got came from homes without a father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed that part of teaching them. This is what a dad does.
Yes.
This is, you come talk to me when you got problems.
Yes.
So I really like that because again, I worked at a boys group home.
Uh-huh.
I worked at a girls group home. And I
Right.
used to,
For our agency
for
when they were
ages,
short.
when they were short.
Yes.
So, I just think it was a very good experience working with the girls because, of course, we had girls. We had 4 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had nieces and nephews. Our house was like a train station. People
For
was
kids.
coming in and out.
Yeah, nieces, nephews, my siblings,
Oh, wow.
just people and they like, oh, Sandy, can I come stay with your family? Yep, come on.
Let me just a little story.
Uh-huh.
I was stationed out at St. Louis. I
Uh-huh.
used to fly in on Friday and fly out on Sunday, going back to work
Every weekend.
every weekend.
I didn't get a chance to miss them.
I came home this one weekend, and these 2 girls were in their pajamas.
You knew them.
I know them. Oh, yeah, they were my daughter's friends.
Uh-huh.
I saw they doing a sleepover. I fly in the next weekend, they're still in their sleep clothes. I said, hey, when do they go home? My daughter tells me, oh, Dad, they live here.
And then he looks at me and says, babe, why do they live here? I said, first of all, Tanya was from England. They're military brats because our kids are military brats. And her
Yes.
mom went back to England for
Uh-huh.
a short period and she didn't want to go.
Uh-huh.
Julie, God rest her soul, she passed from cancer this year. She was such a sweetheart.
Uh-huh.
And her mom went back to the Philippines with her military husband. So she was here and they didn't want to go.
Oh, gee.
So I told Aaron, I told her mom it was okay.
Uh-huh.
They were out of school. The only one that was in school was our baby girl, Carmentrina, who was their friend. They were a year ahead of her. I was like, everybody has to get jobs. Everybody got jobs. Everybody worked and did their share. So we just never said no. But when I was
Yes.
growing up, I came from an abusive family. And that's in my book, 480 Cador Street.
Yes.
But when I was young, my mom, it would be nothing for you to roll in my mind out and see some stranger and I'm like, Mom, who's that? Who's that? I mean, one time, and I'm older, I'm talking, I'm in my 30s, and I go to her house, and I wake up and spend the night because we were stationed in Maryland. She's in Pennsylvania. And I woke up and go to bed, and I saw this little white girl. I knew she was white because her hair hanging out the blanket. So I go to my mom's room, I said, who's that girl? She said, oh, some little girl. It was winter, like near Christmas. She was hitchhiking on the road from Maryland. I said, hitchhiking to where? She was trying to get home for a Christmas break for school. So it was cold out there, and me and your dad picked her up. And that's why she's in there sleeping. We're going to get her on the bus tomorrow, feed her and give her on the bus. So I got that ingrained in me.
Yes.
I grew up with my single mom. And as Aaron was single mom, how many kids for y'all?
There's 6 of us.
6, and Mama had 7.
Oh,
So
wow.
we were both raised with single moms.
Yes.
So we know what it means. Like we've been married this year, come up to be 50 years.
Oh, wow.
We know what it's like not to have the mom and dad. That's why we stuck together. So we wanted that to be for our kids, for our grandkids, and to see that somebody can get married and stay together.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. That's wonderful. Yes. That's so important today. And people don't realize that you really have to try to work on it, especially just like you said, if you have kids and grandchildren, you need to make them see that and know that. And even though it's difficult, it's really important for them to grow up in that kind of environment. I love that. You know what I did want to talk about? So, I know we've now probably gotten the curiosity of people that want to be foster parents. I know you mentioned you took classes. How long are the classes? Like, is it a long time?
No. We have an initiation class to be a foster parent. Right. I can't remember how many hours it is in the beginning. And then every month in our agency, we have once a month, we have monthly meetings. Everybody show up in person. And they bring in speakers, different people speak. And sometimes some of the parents will come up with something they want to talk about. And every month, you have to be there. In our agency, when we first started with alternatives for youth and families, when they started, if you didn't come to the meeting, that was the only way you were going to get your monthly stipend. They give you the checkout. That's never doing paper checks. That was a long time ago. Yeah. So now it's electronic. You come in and you were glad to come to that meeting because you knew your money was sitting there and you need to get that stipend check, right? Yeah. So, and then later they changed it when everything went electronic. You had a lot of less people showing up for meetings than they used to, And then it got back on track and we started meeting again. So to answer your question, once a month we had to have meetings.
Yes, and I imagine the meetings you probably can discuss if there's an issue you're not sure how to deal with too. That's probably a good time.
Or somebody brings up an issue, another parent, and they say, can any other parent answer that question? As long as we were in there, it seems like every time, I guess we're just busybody foster parents, somebody had an issue, we knew the answer. Oh, here's what we did, here's what we would do, We got picked for Foster Parents of the Year.
I was just going to ask you to, if somebody didn't give you an award, I think I'm going to be sending you something because you should be getting that. I'm so glad to hear that. Yes.
Well, we got it so many times. Here's how it worked in our agency, how you got to be Foster Parent of the Year. The foster children voted for the parents they want. When we had the monthly meetings, all the kids come for a part of it.
Wow.
So then the kids all know everybody's parents because if you're doing respite care, we're going away for the weekend and we need respite care. We're going to call one of those parents, can you watch my kid? Oh, okay. So they get to know all the foster parents and interacting. But for us, when we wanted to go somewhere, who do we give our kids to?
Our daughters.
Our 2 daughters.
There you go.
Because we didn't want them to be, even though they knew those foster parents, they're our kids now, our family. They need to know our kids. And what came out of that, both our daughters became foster parents. And our oldest daughter adopted 2 of her foster kids.
Oh, that's beautiful.
She only had one child, biological child, a boy. And she said, and when she went through labor, when she had that boy, I was active duty military, and she's talking on the phone. I'm never doing this again. Oh my God, no! I said, Kim, calm down, Kimmy. You'll get through this, and it won't be I don't care what you say, Mom. Leave it alone. I'm having no more kids. And she said, and as soon as I'm old enough to get my tubes out, it's a done deal. Oh my God! And she did that, and then she adopted 2 daughters.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, there are, well, there are so many kids out there that really need need families and need to be adopted too. So that's wonderful. Oh,
We're
that's
gonna say, go back to your one question. You talk about how people find about foster care. In
yes.
our book, it's a
Uh-huh.
it's a mini foster care book, a mini book, 100 so pages. In
Yes.
our book, we start out with our glossary. We give them every term that they could possibly come into in foster care.
Uh-huh.
Every term, what it means, foster parent, guardianship, adoption, you name it. Everything's in there that they would ever need to think about. Because when you go
Uh-huh.
to the meetings to get a foster child, that agency just wants a foster parent.
Uh-huh.
They have so many kids in the system and they have to
Yes.
move these kids and they don't want them in group homes. So if you get that book before, if you're thinking about a foster parenting, get our book. And
Okay.
Aaron, I wrote the book, but Aaron was my main contributor and he's in my book as my contributor.
There
We
you
did
go.
that book together.
Yes.
In that book, if you want to think about being a foster parent, get the book.
Yes.
And then in
yes.
the book, we share stories about 30 or 40 kids. We share
30,
different
40.
stories from different kids.
Oh, that's great. It
That
shows
book.
you, and not for people that want to be foster parents also. I'm assuming, I know you did mention, and God bless you for getting into the difficult, situations and trying to help those where you were therapeutic foster parents. That's really wonderful because that is a difficult thing. But not all situations are probably like that, right? There are some, raising a child as a whole is not
Yes.
an easy thing, but they're not always difficult situations. I'm assuming
Right.
there are, right? There
Some are
are,
really good. And
yes,
some are really not good.
yes, I'm sure. And that's up to you to, I'm sure they brief you on what the situation is before you.
Yes.
agree.
Well, in the very beginning, I'm talking about how we can read the jackets. We can
And
read-
in the very beginning, we used to get a package on the
Uh-huh.
child
Okay.
because they'll tell you if they're fire starters,
Uh-huh. Oh, yes.
suicidal. So
Oh, wow.
you would get the package, but then they did away with the package,
because of the Privacy Act.
Privacy Act.
Oh.
Then they came out, you got the kid in the blind. But we found out that after a while, the kids would open up to you. They would
They
tell
love
you
you.
stuff. They said, "Oh, by the way, I'm a fire starter." You know,
And by the way, I tried to commit suicide a couple
Yeah.
times.
Oh, gosh.
I like to play with knives. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
Just
my
because we
gosh.
find out in the blind, but we always had our eyes open. We knew we don't know about this child, so we got to be figuring out, because what you need to understand is when you bring a child into your home, they watch your every move, but you're not watching theirs. They're watching
Yes.
you. You just think it's just a kid. Let me just teach them this and go about my business, but they're watching you. Your every move. So you have to learn to watch their every move, because every kid comes to you with baggage.
Uh-huh.
Physical baggage.
Yes.
You don't know what they're carrying. They're coming
Yeah.
with it, whether you like it or not. And then you have to
Yes.
figure out what's going on when they open it. When they open
Yes.
up the baggage, what's in there? One of the things, we had a young girl named Sharon, and she was like 12. That's the first person we took that was young. And she was from a couple of counties away from us. And they went in emergency placement. And she was adopted. She was an adopted child. Had
Uh-huh.
adopted parents, and her father had died. Adopted father had died. And she started acting out. So they called us for emergency placement, and we had two other girls at that time. We actually had Nakima and Michelle, and they're both in my book.
Uh-huh.
They came with us, and they said, well, we don't have transportation to take her back and forth to school, and we want her to stay in her school she's at until the end of the school year. Now we're talking 6 weeks on our dime.
Uh-huh. Oh,
But
my
they
God.
don't, there's no extra money for nothing. You don't get that on the stipends. That happens. I said, okay, we can afford that. So we
Right.
drove her back and forth to school until school was over. She was with us. And then I tried to get in her head to find out, why was she acting out for her mom?
Uh-huh.
What I found out when talking to her one-on-one in my room, sitting down, like, talk to her like a little girl, it's only 12, like a little girl. Why did you start just being bad in school and at home and bad to your mom? She said, because when my dad died, they didn't take me to the funeral.
Oh, jeez.
She's 12. Why didn't y'all take her to the funeral? And then the worst thing was, she kept asking her mom, can you just take me to the gravesite where daddy's buried? No one would take her because they thought she's 12, she shouldn't. So we figured out what we did. Nosy Sandra and nosy Aaron. We looked in the archive. You can look and see somebody dies in your state.
Yes.
You know their name.
Yes.
How old are you? You can look it up. So we found it. We found out where he was buried.
And you
in
took
DC,
her.
and we took her there.
Oh, that's great.
And we didn't even tell her adopted mom. We told
Uh-huh.
our case manager. She said, I don't know, Sandra, you think it's a good, I'm a nurse. It's a good idea. It's therapeutic. We took her there, and that child straightened right out. We're right back with her mom.
Wow.
If somebody just would listen to her.
Exactly. Just to
Listen to
listen to
her.
her.
And she was acting out. She would just take things out your room and just
Jump out the window.
Oh yeah, tell me. She was like, one time she was threatening to commit suicide and said she was going to jump out the window in her room. And then she had put the window up. She put the window up, right? Like she was going to jump out and stand up. I said, go ahead, jump. Go ahead. See how you like when you hit that concrete. Go ahead. He was outside washing cars. So she ran to the window and put her feet out. Like she was jumping. I ran over, but I had my arm around her waist. She wasn't big. And I had my hand in the back of her foot. Go ahead, I'm going to push you. I'm going to help you. And then she started screaming, Aaron, your wife is, Mr. Ace, your wife is going to kill me. Tell what the neighbors said across the street.
Some neighbors was walking past and they said, what's happening? Oh, so they play like that all the time.
Oh my God.
And then she was like, she was the best little liar. She would lie about everything. So what I did one time, so I'm gonna break her out of line. The case man, he was a male, his name was Brian. And he came, I told him the plan, what we're gonna do. I'm gonna lie on her, you just play along. He said, okay, I got you. So he came to see her, we're sitting down there and he started talking about how she's doing. She said, oh no, she's not. She lies all the time. She did this, she did that. And I made up stuff she did, but she didn't really do it. No, I didn't. Why are you lying, Sharon? I want her to know how I felt when you're lying to people. So I said, why are you lying? You're lying. Just stop lying. You lie all the time. You know I'm telling the truth, Miss Sandy. I said, you're lying. You lie all the time. And she said, I can't believe you can be a foster mom and just sit up there and tell a bare-faced lie right in front of the case manager. I said, what are you talking about? Now you're lying again. Oh, I got her so good. But that girl changed. And Aaron, you ran into her, what, a couple years ago?
I ran into her about 4 or 5 years ago.
Grown up,
5 kids. And she's doing
shopping in the grocery store.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. So unfortunately, we're almost out of time. I could sit and listen to these stories really for a couple of hours. So I want you to tell my audience where they can find that wonderful book that has all these tips and things about starting that, starting it.
It's on Amazon, but if you do a search, you can find it anywhere online. But you have to use my whole name. And it's Sandra L. Kearse Stanton. And right now, the Kindle book is $2.99.
Oh, that's great. And the title is, tell us.
There's always room for one more.
There you go. Well, God bless you both. You have wonderful stories, and I'm sure you'll be getting more awards too, you guys. So I just want to ask you real quick, do you still have foster kids? Are you still doing that now?
No, they can, and there's always room for one more.
Yes.
If they're only what, babe?
One night.
Spending the night. Spending the night. That's it.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, that's good. You're teaching everybody now how to do what you've done. Yeah. So that's really important because foster parents.
The book is a good tool, and the paperback is only like $19.
Oh,
it's a mini book. It's a good
well, that's
tool.
good because it's a reference too. Exactly. It's a good tool. Yes. It's a reference. You know, you can keep that at home, especially if you're wanting to get it. Well, I thank you both so much for being here. You're welcome. Much success with the book. And hopefully we'll get some of my audience to become foster parents. Maybe they'll send me some stories.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks as always to my producer Britton Roselle and this week's special guest Sandra Kearse Stockton. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on my Roku channel. That's on Roku. It's a streaming channel. The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati is the name of the channel. On Zeno Media, that's an internet radio station that is called The Basic Art Of, and it's all about the basic art of cooking and home and garden. So you can check that out. You can also find my channel, the Maria Liberati channel, on YouTube. And let's say on Vimeo, there's the Maria Liberati channel as well. My latest book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Diary Seasons, is a memoir with recipes, of course. And you can find that anywhere books are sold online. And my latest book is actually, it's not a recipe book, but it's a translation. I was selected to translate from Italian to English, an award-winning Italian book called How Wine Changes Lives. And it was originally written by award-winning Italian journalist Laura Donadoni, who's also known as the Italian Wine Girl, and she's appeared on my show on the podcast a few times. So check out the book. It's really interesting. It's kind of a backstory about this small family-owned vineyards in Italy and more. How Wine Changes Lives. That's available on Amazon and Kindle now also. Until next time, peace, love, and pasta.